Hello there, ladies and gents. It's time for something a little bit different for the channel today. Something we're kind of we're broadening our horizons here at the Escape Pod Castaways. If you know me, one of the things that you know about me is I do love my retro games. I love my retro consoles, my Super Nintendos, my Mega Drives, my Master Systems, my Game Boy Advances, my Nintendo DSs, PlayStations, anything that you can class as retro, I just absolutely love it. And one of the things I've been seeing increasingly more on YouTube recently are items such as what you can see on the second camera now. These little handheld consoles that have retro emulators on. Now, I finally took the plunge and went for one. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of time to play with it. I've had a lot of time to dig into it and play around with the firmware and various different bits and pieces like that. And it actually led on to the idea of something that Paul and myself are going to do on the channel, which is each month we're going to get a handhold. Why do I keep saying handhold? Each month we're going to get a handheld console. We're going to do an unboxing, and then we're going to have a play with it, and then we're just going to give it away. We're not keeping it. It's not for us. It's literally for us to do a quick review on, see how much fun these things really are, all of the various different types, and then we're just going to give it away. Now it's going to be given away to like the Patreons and the Twitch subs. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a reward for their patronage. We just want to like give back to the community that supports us on Twitch and the community that supports us on YouTube. So if you're a sub, or if you're a sub on Twitch, or if you're a Patreon, you're automatically going to get thrown into a hat, and we're going to draw that name out of the hat live on our Friday shows once a month, or as often as we can do it. But it's going to be once a month. Now, it will be live on Twitch, and it will be given away. I have had a couple of people say, you know, what if you're not a patron? What if you're not a sub? I mean, you can just sub to us on Twitch if you want to get thrown in the hat. But on the day of the show that we do the drawing, where we do the handout, if you donate 100 bits or more during the show, we'll also throw your name into the hat. And that's just the way that it's going to be. So let's dig into this. So it's called the Anbernic RG350. So as you can see on the bottom, model number RG350. Now, Anbernic, I went for the Anbernic 350 because a lot of the people that have talked about these handheld consoles, everybody seems to be of the unified thought that Anbernic make some of the best. Anbernic do make some of the best. Now, there are various different models. There's the 350, the 350M, the 351. Anbernic has done a lot of various different models, and they've all got various different capabilities. I went for the 350 because it's been out for over a year now, and the freeware software community that makes firmware for this just seems to have its head really screwed on. And one of the things that I initially thought was, if I get this, I can play around with the software and the firmware on the device to allow me to, you know, really get to grips with it and find something that, you know, I'm going to enjoy. So when I got it, I fired it up, and the factory software that was on it was still very good. I'm not going to take anything away from the firmware. It's Open Dingus. And I think it was version 1.4, so it wasn't the most up to date, but it was still a good firmware. Now there is the emulation station. There's RetroArch. There's front ends. I tried a couple of custom firmwares. I tried Rogue. I tried Emulation Station, and I tried a couple of others. But what I found myself doing was I actually found myself returning to just the updated version, the 1.5 version. Now, as much as I enjoyed Rogue, the Rogue firmware for the RG350, it doesn't have HDMI support. Now, just to give you a quick look at the top, you can see there's 2 USB ports, but this port right here in the middle is HDMI out. And with the new 1.5 Open Dingus firmware, the HDMI still works. So if you want to play a game on your TV through a HDMI lead, you can do just that. And the other thing that I've been doing, because I have a adapter, is you've got your charge port there, but you've got a secondary port here. So you can actually use this as a standalone console. The HDMI lead that I have to go from this to my TV is not very big. It wasn't very large at all. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 foot. So it's not something that you can run from your TV to your couch or to your bed while you're chilling out and playing, unless you've got a particularly long lead. And I didn't really want to stand in front of my TV while I played it. So what I did was I took the short HDMI lead, plugged it into this, and then I used my Xbox 360 wired controller, which has got a very long lead on it, and I ran it into the top. And, you know, I just sat on the bed and I played. And a couple of the games I've been playing on this are, I've been playing a Game Boy Advance game called Golden Sun. It was one of the first games I played when I had my old Game Boy Advance. So as you can see on the screen, and I'm sorry if it's out of focus, I'll try and get it in focus. But as you can see, you've got you've got your L1 and your L2, your L1 and your L2, and your R1 and your R2, and they'll allow you to just skip through the menus. So you've got your settings, you've got your applications, you've got your emulators, and then you've got games. Now the games are ported games, and there are lots of ported games available on the internet. They're homebrewed. People have taken games and they've just kind of homebrewed them. And you've got lots of different ones, and there's a brief description underneath every single one of them, depending on which one. You've got Free Doom, which is a port of Doom. You've got Arachnoid, which is just Breakout. Open Bore. You've got Puzzle. There's just lots and lots of games. But the emulators themselves, now, the emulators work more effectively, I find, on the Open Dingus 1.5 version. There is a 1.7 version, which I did try, and for some reason, I just found it less reliable than the 1.5. Now, the beauty with the firmware is it's so easy to change on this device. It really, really is. What you've got is 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4 screws on the back, and then your memory card is around about here. So when you first get this, the best thing to do is to take this out, take your memory card out, put your memory card into your PC and just make an image of it. And then you can take that memory card and do what you want with it. There is a memory card slot here at the bottom. That'll take up to, I think it takes up to a maximum of 128 gigabytes. And doing that allows you to, once you've got that custom firmware that you really, really like, one that you find comfortable, you put that back in, and then that's it. You just leave it on the back. You leave that in the device, and then you use your secondary TF card to put apps on and to do your updates. Because one of the wonderful things about this Open Dingus is if you go to the apps, you've got you've got a file manager. So you've got a file management tool. So you can open the file management tool, and you've got a left and you've got a right. So you can access everything that's on your TF card on the left and access everything that's on the TF card inside the device on the right-hand side, which makes it really, really useful to transfer files. So you can download your ROMs, or you can download your ported games, or you can download your new apps, because there are always apps coming out. You can put them on your TF card, access them on your left-hand side, and copy and paste them, or move them to the TF card that's physically in your device. And then as soon as you've moved it across, there it is, it's accessible. Let me just, there's usually a hotkey to get you out of it. Actually, no, it's X, and then you go down to exit. So I just hit the reset because I'm lazy that way. I've really, really had a hell of a lot of fun with this. The emulators that I've enjoyed the most are the what I tend to use is the, hang on a minute. So my favorites are the arcade machine emulator, which is the FBA RG350. I like this very, very much. I find it better than MAME. I do find it better than the MAMEs. Because it's just more convenient. So it brings it up, and then there you go. It comes up with all of the various different games, and you can pick and choose which games you want to play. I mean, you've got 1944, Aero Fighters, Arcadia, Buster Move. There isn't screenshots for everything. There's G-Lock, Gauntlet, Ghosts and Ghouls, Lemmings, Lightning Fighters, Marvel Super. So these are and these are the arcade games. These are the ones that you would go into an arcade. You'd go into an arcade store, and you'd put your quarters in and you'd play those video games. So those are the ones that you were. So let's just exit that. So that's for your arcade games, but obviously not everything. That's an emulator specifically for arcade games. Then you've got your NES, your Game Boy Color. You've got your Wonder Swan open board engine. That's for I think that's for ports as well. Then you've got your Sega Genesis. You've got your Sony PlayStation. This will play Sony PlayStation. It will. Not every single game is going to run perfect on this. It isn't. But there are a lot of PlayStation games that will run on this. I don't have a massive amount of PlayStation games on this. I've got a couple of RPG games that I used to play on my PlayStation because you know what, that's what I really, really wanted to do. Then you've got your Neo Geo, you've got your Game Boy Advance. I'm currently playing Golden Sun on that. There aren't I mean, you can get boatloads of games, but one of the things that I find with emulator, I don't want thousands and thousands of games on my handheld emulator. I don't, because I'm not going to play thousands and thousands of games. I want to play the games that I bought and owned, in my youth. So I've got Golden Sun and Golden Sun: The Lost Age because I owned a Game Boy Advance and I bought those games and I want to play them. Exactly the same for the Sega Genesis. I've got Shining Force for the Sega Genesis because when I had my Sega Genesis, that was what I played. So just exit out of that. You can. There is RetroArch. I haven't really dealt with RetroArch, to be perfectly honest with you. RetroArch gives you a lot more maneuverability with the games. You've got save states. You can do more save states, and there's cheats and stuff like that. I don't care about cheats. I just want to play some games. And I forgot, you've got the Atari 2600 emulator as well. There are lots of other emulators that you can put on the RG350, but there's too much. I mean, we've all been there. You're staring at your DVD collection. You've got a couple of hundred DVDs, or you're skimming through Netflix, and sometimes too much choice can be detrimental because you've got so much to choose from that you end up just skimming through and you're not sure what you want to watch. It's exactly the same principle I find with a handheld emulator. If you've got thousands of games, you just don't know what you want to play. And there are literally going to be hundreds and hundreds of games available that you're just never going to play. So that was one of the things that I did. Now, it did come with several thousand games, but when I redid when I wiped the memory card and flashed the firmware to the device, to the memory card for the device, I just flashed all I did was flash, excuse me, all I did was flash the firmware. I didn't flash any games. I just wanted to put games on this. I didn't want a great big massive list of games. I just wanted to flash games onto this that I've, played and owned, myself before. So that was one of the reasons why. But yeah, I highly recommend it. The RG350, I bought mine from Banggood. It had been reduced to, I think it had been reduced to $68. It's under $70 at the moment. This handheld console is less than $70 at the moment. Now the RG351, which is currently out, that is also another very, very good option. Very, very reliable machine. The only difference between the 351 and the 350 is the 351 does not have HDMI out. I do believe it's got Wi-Fi though, which is useful, especially if you want to do NetPlay, because NetPlay is an option for certain Anbernic handheld devices. But for this one, I just wanted something that I could play, you know, in my hand when, in my hand when, you know, I have the spare time. And if I want to play something, because I must admit, I did put Mortal Kombat and play it up on the TV. Playing Mortal Kombat 2 for the Super Nintendo, that was an old one for me. I played that on my Super Nintendo for hours, so playing it on the TV was a lot of fun. Which is why I went for the 350. There are a plethora of ones out there, and I will show you now. I'm just going to exit this. Don't shut it down by just hitting the power button. If you can, actually do a proper power off, because it does have hardware in, and the last thing you want to do is hard shutdowns. You want to do proper power, you know, do a proper shutdown. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. This is what we are going to be covering and giving away. Now, I haven't done the unboxing yet. I have no plans to do the unboxing until I was going to do it live, but I'm going to do a recorded one at a different time. I'm very much looking forward to do this. This is the Powkiddy Q90. It's a much, much smaller device than the Anbernic RG350. It's also much cheaper. It's about just over half the price. So I must admit, I am very much looking forward to doing an unboxing. This, when I do the unboxing and I do brief review, so I'm going to do an unboxing and I'm going to play it and do a live review. And then we're just going to move straight on to giving it away. Exactly as it came. So what I will do is I'll do an unboxing. We'll do an unboxing. I'll do a recording straight from the unboxing. I do believe that the Q90 has some different firmware available to it. So I am going to be looking at the new firmware. If the newer firmware that is out there and available to the community is better than the factory firmware on this device, I will swap the firmware before giving it away. But for the time being, yeah. So that is it. That is my down and dirty and one take unedited version of the RG350. It's a lot of fun. It's very, very enjoyable. There are lots of little hidden extras on the device. Like I said, you've got the HDMI on it, and that is just an absolute godsend. And being able to plug in a separate controller is a lot of fun, because you get the comfort of an Xbox 360 controller while you're playing your various different games. But that's that. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you're not a Patreon, if you're not a sub to us on the Twitch channel, and you want to be included in the draw for the Powkiddy Q90, by all means become a Patreon or sub to the Twitch channel during one of our live streams, or just come to the show. We will announce in advance when we give this away. It's probably going to be this Friday's show. So, if you're not a Patreon or a sub before Friday, come watch the stream, join in, jump into the chat, throw 100 bits, and we'll throw your name in the hat. Paul needs, to be able to go onto the Twitch and go into the analytics so that he can, draw up a name, drop it onto the spreadsheet, you apply a random generator to it so that we can, we're not typing names in. He's just pulling everything off Twitch and adding the Patreons, because the Patreons always get a priority. But until Friday, toodles.